Andor is back with a second season, and it's arguably the best Star Wars live-action TV show since Disney took over the franchise. Part sci-fi adventure, part spy thriller, and part political thriller, Andor is well written, with good actors, an interesting story, and well-developed characters, showing that a Star Wars show doesn't need to be packed full of lightsaber duels and Force users to be entertaining. Though despite being better than the crap that Disney has been pumping out, like the awful one and only season of The Acolyte, the first 3 episodes are by no means perfect, with some clear problems. This review will contain spoilers as I break down the good and bad things about the 3 episodes. The show kicks off 1 year after the events of the first season, with Cassian posing as an Imperial test pilot in order to steal an experimental new TIE fighter. He manages to steal the fighter and escape the facility in a decent action scene, only to be captured by a band of unorganized guerrillas as he attempts to meet with a contact. Mon Mothma is busy preparing for her daughter's wedding, something that she doesn't want to do, in order to secure funding for the rebellion. This is further complicated by her friend, who's experiencing financial burden as a result of her actions, threatening to expose them to the Empire. Director Orson Krennic is overseeing a meeting of Imperial officers discussing plans for the planet of Gorman. The Empire wants the rare minerals that the planet contains, though obtaining them would likely result in the destruction of the planet, with the discussion leading to how they should go about getting the minerals without inciting wide-reaching political repercussions. On an agricultural planet, Bix, Brasso and Willman are in hiding, working illegally for a local farmer. Things are going well until the Imperial authorities start doing audits on the local workers. It's during this time that Bix is sexually assaulted by an Imperial officer. She manages to fight off her attacker and ends up killing him in the process. However, the situation escalates, resulting in the death of Brasso. Cassian, who managed to escape the guerrillas in the stolen TIE fighter, arrives just as Brasso is killed, taking out the attacking stormtroopers and rescuing Bix and Willman. The best part of the show so far is the character development, with each of the main characters changing over the 3 episodes, forged by circumstances often beyond their control, each going through a journey that helps to forge the rebellion. Cassian, whilst being held captive by the guerrillas, gets shown just how ineffective and self-destructive an unorganized military force is, fractured and without clear leadership. If the rebellion is to fight against the Empire, then it must first have stability and a clear chain of command. Without those core attributes, then the organization becomes a threat to itself. Without the mammoth task of taking on the Empire, it's somewhat fitting that this takes place on Yavin 4, the rebellion base in the very first film. Mon Mothma struggles with the personal cost of her support for the rebellion, marrying off her daughter in order to secure funding, and the issue of turning her back on a longtime friend, highlighting what she's giving up for the cause. The journey of Bix is used to show us the plight of ordinary citizens under Imperial rule and the cost of any form of rebellion. After what she goes through, it's clear to her that she won't be safe until the Empire is defeated. The discussion about extracting the rare minerals from the planet Gorman is well executed, with the scene showing how ruthless the Empire is, along with setting up the conflict for later episodes. In general, I think that everything was well done, with few criticisms. The actors all did a fine job, the set pieces and CGI looks good, and the story kept me engaged. A big issue for me is how long and drawn out the show is. Andor has always been a slow burn, however, at times it drags on and on. The wedding and the celebrations could have been trimmed down. It didn't have to go on through all 3 episodes. The same can be said about Cassian being held by the guerrillas. This lasted longer than it needed to. With some streamlining, the 3 episodes could have been condensed into 2 episodes without losing anything of value. We had this controversial scene, the first of its kind, in Star Wars. For me, this scene feels like it was used purely for shock value, to generate conversation, rather than something that advances the story, as the outbreak of violence could have happened through their identities being discovered by the Imperials without adding this controversy. We already know that the Empire is bad. They vaporized a planet in the first film, and they are now planning to destroy another one. It doesn't so much paint the Empire in a bad light, but rather it's to do with human behavior, about the power imbalance, where people do do what they want because they have the power to do so. This kind of thing would happen all over the galaxy, regardless of who was in power, because there are bad people everywhere before the Empire existed, during the Empire's existence, and after the Empire's defeat. We know that this kind of thing would happen in the Star Wars universe, that goes without saying. Whilst the show does have its problems, the main one being the pacing and drawn-out plots, it is overall highly entertaining, something that I definitely would recommend watching. If you got this far, I want to thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this review, please consider liking and subscribing. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye for now.